I can't believe that I'm almost done with yet another rotation. My name's Dakota, by the way. I'm a third-year medical student, and I'm finishing up my OBGYN rotation. I guess I'm making this video to kind of reflect on what OB-GYN was like for me, and then just talk about a few things about this stage of life so that anybody that's gonna go through it, or myself when I look back on it, can kind of remember or know what to expect. I guess to start, I'll talk about the here and now, which is my OBGYN rotation. I am with a male provider. He's a private practice doctor, and I've actually found myself really liking OBGYN. I think it's really cool, and I think it's really unique to the specialty, the way that it balances procedural things like time in the operating room and then clinic and seeing patient. How my preceptor has the schedule laid out, kind of roughly, is that 2 days a week we'll be in clinic, so we'll be doing pap smears, doing wellness visits, pre-op and post-ops on patient, and then 2 days of the week we'll be in the operating room. So that's when we'll be doing full like surgical procedures, hysterectomies, DNCs, dilations and curettage, myomectomy. Also, I realized I'm just throwing out some pretty big words. We do surgeries where we will cut open the abdomen and take the full uterus out, or we'll go in through the cervix, and without making any incisions, we will cut out like pieces of muscle tissue that's overgrown. And then of course, OB-GYN would not be OB-GYN without giving birth. So 1 or 2 days a week, he will take call. And then on the call days, that is all about giving birth to babies. So we are sitting around waiting on labor and delivery for patients to be ready to deliver babies. We're performing C-sections and then just doing other stuff in between. I think something that this preceptor has really taught me by demonstrating to me is that it's really important to stay calm, cool, and collected, especially during times of emergency. My preceptor is actually like weirdly deadpan, to where we were doing a dilation curettage where we go in through the cervix and then we scrape off the endometrial lining because this patient had a missed abortion. She didn't realize, but the conception, the baby did not survive, so then we need to take out any parts that were still in there. And with a procedure like this, you expect there to be a little bit of bleeding, you expect to take out some tissue, except when he did it, it was just flowing and flowing and flowing. So then after a little while, I'm like, is this all retained products of conception? And then he looks at me and he goes, no, she's hemorrhaging. But he was so calm and collected, and he just asked the nurse to grab certain things, and they understood that the situation was urgent, but he didn't like rush them or make them feel panicked. So then they brought them to him whenever they could get it at their earliest, fastest convenience. And he explained a little bit of the reasoning behind this, and he was saying that if you create panic or you create a sense of unnecessary urgency, then that's when people start fumbling and making mistakes. And of course, everybody will teach you this, and there was a pigeon, but to see him put it into practice to this degree is just incredible. There was another case where we were in the abdomen doing a surgery laparoscopically, so we took like long probes and cameras and we made cuts on the stomach and pushed them in, and then they were doing some dissecting, cutting out some pieces that they needed to take out, and then once again there was a lot of bleeding because the uterine artery had been severed. Now, bleeding in the operating room has a lot of different looks to it, but when you see it like pulsating and shooting, that's when it's really concerning, because that means that there's going to be a lot of blood loss. And the thing about the region was, as soon as it started bleeding, you could see it pulsating and shooting out, but it was hard to see where it was because the blood was pooling over the artery. But once again, he was so calm, cool, and collected, and just dissected, suctioned, asked for certain things, and then handled it with no problem at all. And I also think that speaks to his experience, because obviously he's done this enough times to where he knows just what to do, so he's not panicking, fumbling around. But I think it's really cool to actually see that in action. Sometimes we learn, like there are literally acronyms that we learn, that the first step is to be calm and breathe. But truly, I have really thoroughly enjoyed this rotation, and I'm starting to realize that like on a lot of these rotations, I'm saying like, oh, I really love this. And I don't know if that just means that I'm easy to please, or if it's like I can see myself doing a lot of things. But with that said, I don't think that OB-GYN is going to be something that I'm going to pursue. You can hear about the reputation for a lot of specialties, and by actually being a part of it, you get to see what it's like. And I think I've been really fortunate to be with a male provider as my preceptor, because him being male, his patients are all comfortable with him. And so a lot of them, I see that as a male provider, he can still build the relationships, have the trust. And some of these patients, like they won't go to anybody else, male or female. Like they know and love my preceptor. And I think there's something special about being able to build that kind of trust, but it's just still not something that I'm quite 100% comfortable with. For the most part, because a lot of his patients realize that he is a male provider, and then also that his students need to learn, I have almost never been asked to not be a part of the room or be a part of the procedure. And although sometimes the patients are a little bit shy or a little bit hesitant, they do always let me be a part of it and have my hand in and learn. And I see that as a male, it is still very possible to be a great OB-GYN provider. But I think that for my personal comfort, I'm just not entirely there yet. Like even when the patients are comfortable, even if I know that I will get desensitized and comfortable in it eventually, I don't feel the need to put myself there when I'm not 100% for it. But this has given me a much greater appreciation for women's health and the things that they need to worry about and think about, and how it can contribute to my practice eventually, because I will still be working with female patients and have to have my hand in stuff like this. I just don't think it's something that I want to commit myself to doing all day, every day, despite how cool it is to balance procedural things and medicine this way, and to be able to do so many things and work with so many cool and understanding patients. But on that topic, since we are talking about like the future and what I'm going to be doing, I do still plan to pursue anesthesia. In fact, that's where I am right now. It's a Thursday. I'm going to be attending the anesthesia didactic lectures, and I'm recording this talking to you as I wait for that, since I'm really early right now. If you noticed, a lot of times when I'm doing a week in my life, or when I'm talking about a new rotation that I'm on, I will try to like vlog what I'm doing during that week. And right now I'm just filming kind of like a talking video. A big part of what's motivating me to do this is that right now I'm in a really busy period of my life, not because I have a lot of things going on, but because I'm trying to dedicate all of my time into studying. I'm finishing up my third year right now. I'm going to finish this rotation. I have my pediatrics rotation next, and then after that is dedicated for step 2 and level 2. So while I have been fortunate to have a little bit more free time on this rotation, especially for an OB-GYN rotation, I've been putting all that time into studying because I really need to knock it out of the park with these next exams. I keep telling myself that these scores that I get on these next exams, these next boards, step 2, level 2, are career determining, because it really does determine how residency programs will look at and view and rank me. Of course, there are a lot of other factors as well, but if I can improve myself in one way or make myself look better in any aspect that I can, of course I'm going to try to do that. So with that in mind, I know that the time between now and my board exam is finite. I counted it today. I have less than 9 weeks left. So I'm trying my best to, without burning out, spend every single moment that I can studying, because I only have a certain specified amount of time between now and my exam. So if I can study for as much of that time as possible, then I can maximize my opportunity to do well on that exam. So I'm not vlogging this because, one, it's really time consuming to vlog it, and then two, because I'm not really doing anything besides going to my rotation, working out, and studying. Although as I think about it and say it out loud, I feel like that's kind of what I'm doing all the time anyways. But something that I think about a lot during intense periods like this is that I'm really trying to minimize burnout, because even if I study a ton and I have all the information available to me, if I burn out, then I'm just not going to perform well. So to keep myself motivated, besides telling myself that there's a finite amount of time between now and then, I also think about the fact that like, I don't want to feel as though I'm wasting any time. Now, I don't mean that in like, I don't want to feel like I'm wasting any time that I could be using to be productive. I mean that in like, sometimes I think about the fact that if I died tomorrow, I don't want to regret how I spent today. But in that same vein, I think about that if I were to die after a very long life, like let's say I had a patient one time tell me, he was like, I know that you're gonna live to like you're 92 or 93. I was like, how do you know that, sir? And he's like, oh, I just know these things. Like there are certain things that I just know, and your energy, like you're gonna make it to like 92 or 93. Let's say that's true. If I live to 92 or 93, I don't want to regret how I spent my life. And so when I think about working towards long-term goals or maintaining my fitness on a very long-term scale, thinking about that, I'm like, okay, maybe I can dedicate some time to do things now that I won't enjoy the most for the long-term delayed gratification. And I think that thinking about those two things together, possibly dying tomorrow or possibly dying when I turn 93, balancing those ideas helps me to best optimize and appreciate how I spend the time now. Maybe it's philosophical, but like if I were to die tomorrow, I don't want to be like slowly passing away thinking about the fact that like, man, I didn't do anything yesterday. Like I didn't do anything that I enjoyed for yesterday or for the past week. Like I really wish that I would have done that. If I had known that I would have died in this moment, I would have spent my time differently. But I don't want to get to like 93 and think, man, I could have accomplished so much if I didn't just spend my time avoiding anything that was hard. So what I end up doing is I end up spending a lot of time studying, like a lot of time. Like I'm doing hundreds of practice questions a day. Okay, not hundreds, but like I'm reaching like 100 or a little over 100 almost every day with my rotation. And I'm not making too much time to enjoy myself, but I'm not making none either. Like I'm still taking the time every day to work out. And then sometimes before bed, instead of studying or doing Anki, I will like read manga. And although that doesn't make the most interesting thing to produce videos on, it still makes me happier with how I'm living each and every day, like now. Dude, these pigeons are going crazy. I wonder if they're nesting. Oh! But yeah, those are just some things that I think about when it comes to motivation, thinking about the fact that I don't have a finite amount of time, and then not burning out, thinking about how like I would still want to spend time effectively now so that I don't just miss out on a whole period of my life. The other day I was actually feeling kind of sentimental, and I ended up watching back a few of the videos that I made during college. I don't have any of those posted anywhere publicly as of now, but it's like I used to make videos back then where I just take clips of everyday life and just all the things that myself and my friends and my roommates were doing, and they turned into really fun videos that really romanticized and got us to do things that we loved and had fun doing. And it had me kind of realizing that a lot of videos and things that I'm producing now and reflecting and journaling and all of that have felt kind of uninspired for a little while. I don't know what that means moving forward for how I'm gonna do things, but I would like to start producing things and creating things again that I really love, and that when I look back on, it's not just like, oh yeah, whatever, but it's like, wow, I remember and feel the joy and excitement for living that I did at that time. Because I think that doing stuff like this, two things, it encourages you to do things and to live life in a way that you would want to remember it, and then when you look back on it, you look back on it fondly, and you have things to look back on fondly. So with all of this stuff on the horizon, I am going to be kind of like locked in for studying for a little bit, but during fourth year, hopefully I can get back to like creatively producing and creating things that are more fun and more inspired. At least that's the goal, so hopefully that will turn out well. But for now, I've got to lock in until the end of June. Anyways, thank you to anybody who listened to this, and I hope that you're doing well whatever stage of life that you're at. And I will likely see you towards the end of my peds rotation next month.